Rodney Alcala, known as the dating game killer, is one of the most notorious serial killers in American history. His charm, good looks, and high intelligence helped him evade capture while committing a series of brutal murders that spanned more than a decade. Stay with us as we explore the chilling story of Rodney Alcala, the predator who hid in plain sight and left a trail of terror across the country. Rodney Alcala's story begins in the early 1970s. He was a handsome, charismatic man with a high IQ who seemed to have it all together. Alcala studied fine arts at UCLA and worked briefly as a photographer, using his charm and good looks to attract young women. But beneath the surface, he was hiding a dark and twisted mind. In 1968, Alcala lured an 8-year-old girl named Tali Shapiro into his apartment in Los Angeles where he brutally assaulted her. Fortunately, she survived the attack, but Alcala fled before he could be arrested and ended up on the FBI's most wanted list. Alcala managed to evade capture for years, moving to New York and living under different aliases. During this time, he continued his violent spree, killing women across the country. In 1971, despite his fugitive status, Alcala was able to enroll at NYU Film School, where he studied under famous director Roman Polanski. All the while, he continued to hunt for new victims. What made Alcala's story even more bizarre was his appearance on the popular TV show The Dating Game in 1978. Alcala, presenting himself as a charming and witty bachelor, won the show's competition and a date with the female contestant. His eerie charisma shone through as he flirted with the woman, describing himself as a successful photographer who enjoyed riding motorcycles. Unbeknownst to the audience, Alcala was already a convicted sex offender and a suspect in multiple murder investigations. The contestant later refused to go on the date, describing him as creepy and uncomfortable. Little did she know how close she had come to danger. By the late 1970s, Alcala's violent tendencies escalated. He lured young women and girls, posing as a photographer and offering them modeling gigs. His victims were often found posed grotesquely after their deaths, reflecting his disturbing desire to manipulate and control. In 1979, the brutal murder of 12-year-old Robin Samsoe in Southern California finally put Alcala back on law enforcement's radar. Robin had been on her way to a ballet class when Alcala approached her at Huntington Beach, asking to take her photograph. Her body was found 12 days later in the mountains, decomposed and unrecognizable. Alcala was arrested and charged with Robin's murder, but the investigation soon linked him to several other unsolved cases. Inside a storage locker in Seattle, police found hundreds of photographs taken by Alcala, images of young women and girls, some of whom remain unidentified to this day. The sheer volume of photographs suggested that the true extent of Alcala's crimes was far greater than anyone could have imagined. Alcala's first conviction in Robin Samsoe's murder was overturned twice due to procedural errors, allowing him to escape justice for years. However, in 2010, new DNA evidence connected him to additional murders dating back to the early 1970s, including the killings of Georgia Wickstead, Charlotte Lamb, Jill Barkham, and Jill Parenteau. Each woman had been brutally assaulted, strangled, and left in poses that reflected Alcala's sadistic nature. During his 2010 trial, Alcala acted as his own attorney, further highlighting his disturbing narcissism. He questioned himself on the stand in a bizarre courtroom spectacle, attempting to outsmart the jury and manipulate the proceedings. However, the overwhelming evidence and emotional testimonies from the victims' families left little doubt of his guilt. Alcala was convicted of 5 murders and sentenced to death. Even after his conviction, Alcala's crimes continued to haunt investigators. The photographs found in his possession led to new investigations, and he was later charged with additional murders in New York. He has been linked to other cold cases, and many believe he could be responsible for dozens more. Rodney Alcala died in 2021 while awaiting execution, but his horrific legacy endures. Known as the dating game killer, his case serves as a chilling reminder of how predators can hide in plain sight, using charm and deception to mask their true nature.